Hello everyone and welcome to the 2024 TopGear.com Awards, our annual opportunity to name the greatest new cars on the planet. All the winners are behind you, including our overall winner, but we don't want you to see them yet, which is why you're looking at the dodgy end of the studio. But before we get into it, just a little refresher then of some of the grade A metal that's previously won Top Gear's Car of the Year. Okay, let's kick things off with our first award, which is the car we're most looking forward to driving in 2025 award. Don't worry, the names do get better. And it goes to this, the new Lamborghini Temerario. It's the successor to the Huracan, but it ditches the best bit about the Huracan, which is its V10 engine. However, it replaces it with a 789 brake horsepower, 4-litre twin-turbo V8 that revs to 10,000 RPM, and then it supplements it with 3 electric motors for a total of 907 brake horsepower. I anticipate that when the invite to drive this thing comes into the office, there's going to be a punch-up. And from one hybrid to another, because the next award is for Manufacturer of the Year, and it goes to Toyota, a company that sold 10.8 million cars in 2023. They also now produce the bizarrely attractive new Toyota Prius. But that's not all, because they're also stuffing a V8 into the Supra. They're going to compete in Aussie V8 supercars. The updated GR Yaris is now even better. They've shown us a future MR2 with the FT-SE concept. And the Land Cruiser, and this is something I never thought I'd say, is now a thing of beauty. Toyota then, a company that proves size does matter. And here's Ollie Marriage getting very excited when he first drove the Land Cruiser in Scotland.
Just effortless. There's barely a scrape or a knock from underneath, and you're looking at the sides and you've got lots of durable bits of plastic. You're not going to care if they get a bit scratched up. You're going to wear them like battle scars. Wow, this is pretty rough stuff. I'm struggling to find the terrain to test it out enough. So it's pretty uneven, it's quite slippery through here. Look at this massive great bog of mud. It's the colour of chocolate. Oh, here we go then, into a bit of a bog. Ooh, that's quite deep. That's quite deep. Don't think it's going to trouble 700 millimetres of wading depth though. So you don't need height adjustable suspension. All you need is a Land Cruiser.
Next up, Performance Car of the Year, which goes to the McLaren 750S, a car that staged a semi-surprise victory at our recent Speed Week test by just being relentlessly brilliant. Yes, it looks too much like the 720S on which it's based, but on track, it gave the Aston Martin Valkyrie a run for its money, and then on the road, it was just more exciting than anything else there. So here's a reminder of what this car is capable of when we took it to a mildly moist Anglesey with a Ferrari 296.
Watching that Ferrari struggle for traction ahead of me, yeah, this is not supercar weather up in Wales, but these are the conditions a supercar, a modern supercar, should still excel in, because you want it to be exciting and visceral and thrilling, even when it's not going absolutely ballistic and hasn't got conditions in its favour. And these really are. They are fantastic everyday cars. But still, this concentration on dynamics in the McLaren, how wonderful this steering is. It is better than the Ferraris in these conditions. You've got much more communication from it. How great that sort of damping control is. Just there's so much feel in it. And then you've got this sledgehammer power. And when you hit it, this widescreen view out, it just feels like you're on the front of a roller coaster. It just punts you down the road so hard.
Okay, next award, MPV of the year, and it goes to this, the VW ID Buzz 7-seater. Essentially, this is the car that the Buzz always should have been. It's been stretched, so it's now almost 5 meters long, but you get, crucially, a third row of seats, you get a bigger boot, you get a bigger 85 kilowatt hour battery, so it's now got a claimed range of almost 300 miles, and you get a more powerful 282 horsepower rear motor. Oh, and it only costs about 500 quid more than the 5-seater version. No brainer, mate. Right, Super GT of the year. So earlier this year, Ferrari launched the 12 Cilindri, a successor to the 812 Superfast, and then Aston Martin launched this, the Vanquish. Both of these cars have quite a lot in common. They're brutal but elegant. They both have bonnets as long as Alan Sugar's driveways. They both have V12s with over 800 horsepower, so we knew we needed to get them together, preferably on an insanely beautiful Italian road, which is what we did. And the winner was the car playing an away match. Whilst the 12-cylinder feels a little bit tame compared to the 812, this thing is wild and unhinged and just more exciting. But don't take my word for it. Here's Jethro having one of those days to tell the grandkids about.
You can tell that it can only just contain the performance on offer. The car sort of rear torque steers, if you like, up the road. It twists itself up the road. There's so much performance. Brake feel is a little less immediate than the Ferraris. You can hear it just lighting itself up. There's even straights and corners in this car. What a thing.
Right, moving on to our next award, which is for SUV of the year, and it goes to this big fella, the new Hyundai Santa Fe, which, a bit like the new Toyota Land Cruiser, is far better looking than it actually needs to be. But it's also masses of car for the money. You've got 3 rows of seats, you've got a big boot beyond that. You can option 4-wheel drive for a little light off-roading, so it's roomy, it's useful, it's great value, and it looks brilliant. The perfect car, in other words, for an adventure in New Zealand.
What are you doing over there?
Basically a big family SUV rally car. Moral of the story? You need the one with the most power.
If you like SUVs but prefer something a bit punchier, may I introduce the new Porsche Macan, our performance SUV of the year. And note how I called it the Porsche Macan, not the Porsche Macan Electric, because it is just the new Macan that happens to be available only in electric form. But fortunately, it's a brilliant all-rounder. Comfy in town, enough handling finesse to make it fun on a twisty mountain road, and in 635 horsepower turbo form, like this one here, it can stay on the heels of some pretty serious sports cars. Just don't forget, the kids might be sloshing about in the back.
And when you turn it in, whoa, yeah, you see, it's rear biased. It feels like a Porsche. That sounds a really stupid thing to say, but it's true. A 911 driver could drive this Macan being pure electric and know it was a Porsche. And that is a hell of a trick to pull. What I think I'm basically saying is that you are looking at the new benchmark for this kind of thing. Porsche's just made the new boss.
If you want something at the smaller and more sensible end of the EV spectrum, Kia has once again smashed it out the park with this, the new EV3R crossover of the year. Its interior has got a proper premium feel, it's efficient. In fact, with the big battery, you get 372 miles of range. If you've got an EX30 on order, you might want to call your Volvo dealer and tell them you got some bad news. Next up is a car that at long last we got to experience firsthand in full flight at the Top Gear test track. I say we, it was actually Ollie Marriage, a man with a neck made of oak and the self-preservation instincts of a lemming that got to drive it. Perfect man for the job. So our track weapon of the year is the shoe-sized 1,000 kilogram, 1,000 horsepower McMurtry Spearling Pure, an EV with 2,000 kilograms of fan-assisted downforce. And if I'm honest, this award, it wasn't even close. So here's Ollie babbling something to the camera while he clings on for dear life.
Shall we go GT3 RS baiting? Now, the GT3 RS is a hilariously fast track car. We've had one pull over 2G under braking, nearly 1.8 through fast corners. It's the pinnacle of road-legal track cars. But look how much faster the McMurtry is through Chicago. And as for Hammerhead, the Spearling just drove straight round the outside. Okay, so that's what the Spearling can do to a GT3 RS around corners. Shall we see what it can do to it in a straight line? And for this we're going to use the silver car.
3, 2, 1, go.
Hey, that's hilarious! That is just... I now know what it feels like to be in a space shuttle. My word, that is amazing. This thing accelerates like a flicked pea.
Moving on to our luxury family car of the year, and it goes to this. Nope, not a London taxi. It's the Volvo EX90. And yeah, there's been quite a lot of smack talk about this thing costing £100,000, but to be honest, it lives up to its price tag. If you are a well-heeled family who want to travel in perfect luxury and utter serenity, this sets the new benchmark. And here's Ollie when he first got to meet the Volvo and some soccer mums in California.
Meet Jen and Lex, each a proud soccer mum with 3 kids. They spend huge amounts of time shuttling them around. So what did they make of the EX90? They explored every nook and cranny from the 34-litre frunk, not big enough apparently, to clambering into the rearmost row, which both declared fine for short journeys. Lex reckoned the EX90 was a bit on the small side, but then she drives a Ford Expedition. Jen, who drives a Tesla Model Y, was much more complimentary, easier to use and no cricked necks in the rear seats. Neither had too much issue with the touchscreen, but both had the same main criticism: not enough cup holders. Overall though, very impressed.
Next up, it's small car of the year. And it goes to this, the brilliant new Suzuki Swift. We did debate calling this award my first car of the year because small cars need to be just that, don't they? Cheap to buy, cheap to run, but the Swift offers even more. It's got loads of kit, it's refreshingly light, under 1,000 kilograms, it's got some proper handling fizz, and it's among the most spacious in the class. Don't get me wrong, this is not a premium car, and the styling, it's gone a little bit wonky, but my word, has it nailed the brief. Next up, it's a return to very long-winded award names with this. Are all the car you'll ever need of the year, and it goes to the Dacia Duster. We love the fact that this is honest about where the money's been saved. There's no high power engines, there's no options. that you don't need, it's easy to use, it's designed for real life. The answer to the question, all the car you ever need, used to be the VW Golf, but these days, it's a Dacia. So here's Jason Barlow getting a sweat on in one in Morocco.
I mean, I own one. I've done thousands of miles in it. It's the family workhorse. It's refreshingly simple to live with, to drive, and to operate. That said, this version is better to drive. It handles surprisingly well. The chassis, obviously, the platform is the latest version, so the dynamics are much improved. It steers, not with any great amount of feedback, but it's linear enough, accurate enough. There's a little bit of wind noise off the mirrors, but at sort of motorway speeds, there's no real noise, which is amazing because it's a 1.2 litre 3-cylinder engine. Actually, 3-cylinder engines are pretty characterful. I like 3-pod engines, about 128 brake horsepower, which is more than enough. It's pretty spirited, actually. You know, you don't have that problem. We used to call it time exposed to danger when you're overtaking a vehicle, and you're like, I'm not going to get past this truck. You know, it never leaves you in the lurch like that. There always is just enough to get the job done, and that's all you need. Manual gearbox. In fact, the powertrain, you know, the engine's fine. The gearbox, as in my old Duster, that's probably its Achilles heel. It's not particularly nice to use. It's kind of springy. It demands very smooth inputs, but I like it. It's nice to drive. It's quiet. It's you know, you wouldn't know there was a tiddly little 3-pot engine up in front there, and it pulls away nicely even in 6th gear. It's absolutely fine. I mean, fine's a crappy vanilla word, isn't it? But it's more than fine. It's really quite good. In fact, it's really, really good, given that the entry-level version of this car is still sub 20 grand.
This car here is the Gordon Murray T50S. Well, a model of one, at least. And it's not an award-winning car. Not yet, at least, because we haven't driven it. But our coveted Lifetime Achievement Award goes to the man behind this machine, the unstoppable Gordon Murray, a man who, growing up in South Africa, he couldn't afford his first race car, so he just built his own. He got his first F1 design chief job aged just 26, and then went on to bend the rule book and physics and become one of the most successful F1 designers of all time. And then, when F1 got a bit boring, he designed the McLaren F1. And today, even into his 70s, he spearheads a company that is turning out the most bewitching, lightweight analog supercars the world has ever seen. His commitment to lightweight is matched only by his commitment to facial hair. Gordon Murray, Top Gear salutes you for all you've done and all that's still to come.
Oh, that noise! A generation on, Gordon Murray still knows what he's doing, and what he's created is possibly the finest sports car ever to turn a wheel.
Okay, so it's time for the final award of the night, the big dog. The 2024 TopGear.com Car of the Year is the new Renault 5. Yup, Renault's new EV Super Mini that comes with an optional wicker baguette holder has scooped the big prize. And not just because I had an original one of these as my first car, it's because it's bigger than a Fiat 500 electric, but goes further. It's more practical than a Mini, but copes better with bumpy roads. And crucially, this is retro design done right. And it's just as charming to drive as it is to look at. Oh, and you can have the one that you want with all the kit and the big battery, 255 miles of range, for just 25 grand. Fill your boots. So that's it. Massive congratulations to Renault and to all our other winners. You can read loads more about them on topgear.com. Make sure you pick up a copy of the magazine, the awards special issue, listen to the podcast. Keep your eye on all our social channels. That's it. Bonsoir.